Hello, hello. So good evening. I'm back with another case studies, another great case studies from McKinsey. Today we're gonna look at least two case studies, maybe even three. McKinsey case studies are a little bit shorter than BCG case studies, from what I noticed. Uh, Case study from BCG usually takes 35 to 40 minutes. McKinsey on the other side for 25 minutes. So, without wasting further time, let's start. I'll share my screen. Yeah. So, today's case study is titled as GlobaPharm. GlobaPharm. Coming to the client goal, our client is GlobaPharm, a major pharmaceutical company, Pharmaco, with $10 billion a year in revenue. Its corporate headquarters are primary research and development R&D centers are in Germany with regional states sales office worldwide. Okay, so our client is GlobaPharm. They have $10 billion in revenue. They are a huge pharmaceutical company. Their headquarters, R&D, all are situated in Germany, and they sell their products everywhere in the world. Description of situation. GlobaPharm has a long successful tradition in researching, developing, and selling small molecule drugs. This class of drugs represents the vast majority of drugs today, including aspirin and most blood pressure or cholesterol medications. GlobaPharm is interested in entering a new, rapidly growing segment of drugs called biologicals. Okay, these are often proteins or other large complex molecules that can treat conditions not addressable by traditional drugs. Okay, so our situation is that GlobaPharm is very successful in developing small molecule drugs. Small molecule drugs include the present drugs that are available in the market, but they are entering a new segment called biologicals. These are often protein based and can treat conditions that are not covered by the drugs that are in the market today itself. R&D for biologicals is vastly different from small molecule R&D. To gain these capabilities, pharmacos have three options. They can build from scratch, partner with existing startups, or acquire the startups. Okay. Since its competitors are already several years ahead of GlobaPharm wants to jumpstart its biological program by acquiring BioFuture, a leading biological startup based in the San Francisco area. Okay. BioFuture was founded 12 years ago by several prominent scientists and now employs 200 people. It is publicly traded and its current share price, the current company is worth about $1 billion. Okay, so the situation is clear. Basically, the new segment biologicals is very different to the current segment. So they have three options. Either they can start from scratch, they can partner with other smart startups, or they can just buy out a startup who is in fact in ahead in terms of R&D. So GlobaPharm has decided that they are going to acquire BioFuture. They have 12 years of company experience and 200 people in their company, and it's a worth $1 billion. Now, let's go to the McKinsey study. GlobaPharm has engaged McKinsey to evaluate the BioFuture acquisition and to advise on its strategic fit with GlobaPharm's biological strategy. Our overall question today is, therefore, is should GlobaPharm acquire BioFuture? Okay, so they have made up their mind. They want to acquire BioFuture, but they are not sure whether should they it is beneficial for them or not. That's where we step in. We would help them find an answer to should they acquire BioFuture. Coming to the first question, What factors should the team consider when evaluating whether GlobaPharm should acquire BioFuture? Okay, so the question is pretty clear in itself. What parameters or what factors should we consider? Whether it would be beneficial for us or not. Okay, so the primary factor that comes to my mind is that whether they have made some significant, a successful progress in the area of biologicals. Because if not, then there is no point in acquiring global biofuture. Whether they have a good salt composition, whether they have a good amount of research already done, all they are needing is some good marketing, some presence into the market where we could step in, so that our product could be in on the shelves in a matter of time. Uh, okay, this is the first factor. The second factor that I think we should consider is their financial situation. It should not be like they are in a huge debt. They have taken debt from the banks. They are almost bankrupt. And if we acquire them for $1 billion, then all those debts would be transferred to us. I think financially also we should check their conditions and all, whether they have filed for all everything, the machinery, the land value of on what they are. Uh, Also, some other factors could be about their uh, competitors' research, whether they have done. Why do they stand out among all the competitors? Why I can't go to a second company which is valued less, has done a good amount of research? Why I should acquire only Biofuture? Now I'll just reveal the answer. I already did. I'll read the answer. The value of biofutures drug pipeline, the number of drugs currently in development, quality of drugs, likelihood of success, potential revenues, and profits. Biofuture, yeah, like I mentioned, the current existing uh, research that they have done, what drugs do they have currently have, what they are working on, all of that. Biofutures R&D capabilities, future drug pipelines, scientific talent, intellectual property, for example, patents, proprietary process, or know-how for biological research, and buildings, equipment, and other items that allow biofutures R&D to operate. Yes. So, like I mentioned, their existing uh, paperwork, all of that. Biofutures marketing or sales capabilities, especially how promotional messages will be delivered. For example, relations with key opinion leaders that can promote biologicals. Key opinion leaders can come from the academic arena, like prominent medical school professors, or from the public arena, like heads of regulatory bodies or prominent telejournalists. Okay, so I missed this point. We should include their marketing and sales capabilities and the acquisition price, definitely. A very good answer might also include multiple additional key factors GlobaPharm should consider. Biofutures, existing partnerships, or other relationships with pharmacos, global farms capability gaps in biologicals, R&D, sales and marketing, etc. And GlobaPharm's alternatives to this acquisition. Like I mentioned, their competitors, alternative companies GlobaPharm could acquire, other strategies for entering biological segment. For example, entering partnerships rather than acquiring, and pursuing other strategies than entering the biological segment. Yes. The team wants to explore BioFuture's current drug pipeline. The team decides to focus first on evaluating the value of BioFuture's current drug portfolio. What issues should the team consider when evaluating the value of BioFuture's existing drug pipeline? Okay, So now they have uh, deepened the first question, I would say. Now they are asking us that what parameters or what issues should we consider when we look at the existing drug pipeline that they have, the existing drugs that they are working on, the existing drugs that are performing in the market, the current drug R&D that they're working on, all of that. So I think they have asked for particular issues. So what immediately comes to my mind is, okay, so one of previous case studies that I read, that it shouldn't do cannibalism to our products. How do I explain this? Okay, biofutures also have other drugs. Let's say their current drugs, they are direct competitors to our products, which are already in the market. They're performing very well. They are performing. They are one of the major profit makers in our company. They shouldn't produce cannibalism. That if I buy biofuture and I promote their existing drugs, then like I said, it shouldn't lead to cannibalism of our existing products. uh, Also, the above factors also weigh in here, like how would the drugs perform, like if they're performing, are they making profits, are they making losses, could they even break even at this point, the cost of R&D, whether they could manufacture a huge amount of drugs according to the need. Because definitely once we acquire biofuture, their need is going to increase if we market the products. So whether their plants have the capacity to produce all that, uh, let's see the answer. I can't think of anything else. So yeah, I'll reveal the answer. Further cost of R&D until each drug is ready to be sold. Okay. So this mentions that there are no, I think, drug is currently selling the market. What amount of timeline, what amount that timeline would cost us that it could be sold in the market? Potential value of selling each drug, market size, for example, size of patient population, pricing, market share, for example, number of competitive drugs in the R&D or on the market, different side effects, convenient dosing schedule. That is, patients are prescribed to take a drug at regular intervals that are easy to remember, such as once a day or every 12 hours. Yes. So I didn't mention the customer base. I think I mentioned very briefly about it, but yes, we should deep dive in detail. Cost to manufacture and sell, for example, marketing and distribution. Press about these drugs. For instance, have famous doctors called for this kind of drug? Is it only slightly improving, or what is on the market already? Yes, this is also a very important point, that if it was only producing a little bit better effectiveness, and it is, let's say, a lot expensive than what is already on the market, I think a major population would lead on the previous drug, which is cheap but only a little less effective. Also, we should include risk level, likelihood clinical trials of a drug will prove effective. Yes. Likelihood that a drug will win regulatory approval. Yes. Side effects and potential legal exposure. For example, potential lawsuits due to unexpected side effects. Yes. Testing in this medical industry is very necessary. We just can't develop a product and say, yes, we have made it, unless it is hugely tested, it is extensively tested. Emergence of substitutes. Are competitors working on substitutes already? Is it about speed, and does Biofuture have enough researchers working on the respective drugs? Strength of the underlying patents. That is, how likely is that a competitor can successfully copy Biofuture's drug? Below is a description of expected probability of success by stage in the pharma R&D pipeline. Okay. Note, filling in the process of submitting all of the clinical and safety evidence from phase 1, 2 and 3 trials and asking for regulatory approval to actually sell the drug. Okay. So phase 1, 70% we'll pass it, 30% we won't. Phase 2, only 40% will pass it, 60% will fail. Phase 3, 50-50. And filing, if we get through all the phases, then 90% we could sell it. GlobaPharm believes that the likelihood of successes of BioPharm's future primary drug candidate can be improved by investing an additional $150 million in a larger phase 2 trial. Yes. The hope is that this investment would raise the success rate in phase 2, meaning that more candidate drugs successfully make it to phase 3 and beyond. How much would the phase 2 success rate need to increase in order for this investment to break even? Whoa, this example is a very good example. The interviewer would tell you to assume that if the drug is successfully marketed and sold, it would be worth a billion and $1.2 billion dollars. That is, the present value of all the future profits from selling the drug is $1.2 billion dollars. Okay, so by how much success rate? Okay, this is a very good question. I have never had such a question before. So I don't know how this works, but is there a certain threshold above which the drug will be successful, like a cumulative probability? Because uh, this is like probability, this is like zero point 0.7 into zero point 0.4 into zero point 0.5 into zero point 0.9. That is something, maybe I think it should be zero point 0.5 to be fair. I don't know. I'll just do some calculation. Maybe I'll try it out. So 0.7 into zero point 0.4 into zero point 0.5 into zero point 0.9. That is just 7 by 10 into 4 by 10 into 5 by 10 into 9 by 10. The numerators make it a total of 28 into 45. 8 5s are 40. 5 2s are 10 plus 4, 14. 0 add over. 8 4s are 32. And 4 2s are 8 plus 3, 11. That makes it a 1260. 1260 divided by 10,000. So that is just the probability of 0.1260. Uh, I honestly don't know how this works. So yeah, I'll uh, check the answer. Investment would need to increase the probability of success in phase 2 from 40 to 80%. Okay, let's see why. If a candidate drug passes phase 2, then it has a 50 into 90, 45% chance of being successfully marketed and sold. Yes, 50 into 90. Phase 2 is worth 45%. Okay. 45% of $1.2 billion, that is $540 million. To break even, that is to make the $150 million investment worthwhile, the value of the candidate drug that passes phase 2 would need to increase $540 million plus $150 million equal to $690 million. This means the probability of combined success in phase 1 and 2 would need to increase by 150 divided by 540. Okay. The increase in the investment, I think. because 1.2 into, yeah, 28%. So the current probability of phase 1 and 2, that is 70% into 40%, equal to 20%, would need to increase by 28 percent points, that is to 56%. In order to come up to 56%, phase 2 probability would have to increase from 40% to 80%, because 7 8s are 56. Yes. Okay. So I don't know why they did was what they did was uh, this part of the pipeline basically accounts for 45% of the 1.2 billion dollars, which is $540 billion. Now, uh, they said that they would invest $150 billion. They tell us that if we invest $150 million, then basically we would pass. That means the increase in percent points in phase two itself would be 150 divided by 150 plus 540 comes up to 28%. Now, because this 70 into 40, 28% will have to increase by 28%. So directly, yeah, this whole pipeline needs to increase by 28%. So we know that we can't change phase one, so we'll have to change phase two to make it grow by 28%. We need to double the phase two trials. Okay, nice question. Now coming to the last and the fourth question. Next, the team explores the potential setup with BioFuture after the acquisition. Although BioFuture's existing drug pipeline is relatively limited, GlobaPharm is highly interested in its ability to serve as a biological research engine that, when combined with GlobaPharm's existing R&D assets, will produce many candidate drugs over the next 10 years. Okay, so they tell us that their BioFuture's existing drug pipeline is relatively small and limited. But what GlobaPharm is actually aiming is that they could have multiple drug uh, clinical trials of drugs using that existing biofutures pipeline. Okay, nice question. What are your hypotheses on the major risks of integrating the R&D functions of biofuture and GlobaPharm? So nice. That I think it is a very repetitive question in the sense. Like first question and second question also were relatively very closely coordinated with each other. Uh, Factors would obviously include uh, legalities, because legalities and fame. Because let's say a certain drug fails because of biofuture. Because but then if we connect our name with biofuture, we'll obviously face the backlash of the failure. Let's see the answer. Scientists do not have disease, therapeutic areas interest, or expertise and are unable to materially collaborate. Okay, yes. So, like I said, that similar projects shouldn't be there. Not exactly cannibalism is mentioned here, but yes, no similar product should be there. And in the case when they are not able to collaborate, then it would be a huge headache for us. Integration into the process-driven global farm culture kills the entrepreneurial culture at BioFuture that has been key to its success. Okay, so GlobaPharm follows a very corporate approach, I'd say, but BioFuture is using a very entrepreneurial culture, which could cause some harms. Language barriers severely hinder communication and sharing of information. Okay, because it was mentioned to us that our R&D was situated only in Germany, it could be a huge possibility that BioFuture doesn't operate out of Germany, or if they have to relocate. Yes, all of these barriers could be a very big issue. poor management and sense of community as a result of R&D operations that might come with a time difference of 9 hours. Okay, like I said, Germany. Although they haven't mentioned where BioFuture is currently based out of. Okay, I missed it. Yes, it is in the San Francisco area. Nice. Like, this question clearly shows that if you remember BioFuture is from San Francisco area or not. Because I see like two to three answers are two to three answers are directly based that one is situated in San Francisco and one is in Germany. Key scientific talent leaving BioFuture after the acquisition, either because acquisition makes them independently wealthy or because they don't want to be a part of the new big global farm. Yes, we don't want brain drain that all the huge minded people will just leave because they get rich or because they just don't want to work with us. They have also given of organizational change is always a key component of our work. Yes. So all of the answers weren't based on like patents, legalities, fame, marketing, distribution. It was just mentioned that what effect would it be on the employees that are currently working there. And this is what is mentioned to us in the hint that the human element is very necessary. So yeah, this concludes the case study. It was a study, GlobaPharm. Yeah, I'll see you the next time. Bye.